Hey guys, welcome to the Ramsey Paul Show. It is Thursday, August 7th. And yeah, the threesome has been cut off. No, I'm not talking the threesome between like trad influencers. No. It's between Putin, Trump, and Zelensky. My last video, there were rumors that Putin would meet with Trump next week, and then all three would get together as one big happy group, and they would be peace. Well, we got more details about this whole summit coming up, and I don't want to be the guy that's always black pilled or looking at things in a negative light. But I don't see the summit is going to have much success. And the reasons for the summit, I think everyone has a different reason. Putin has a reason, and Trump has a reason, but I don't see a path that we're going to have peace anytime soon in Ukraine. They're just too far apart. So the question is, well, why have a summit? Why did Putin agree to the summit? Or was it Trump? See, even that, the story originally came out that Russia wanted a summit, meaning Trump sent Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff is his longtime personal friend. He's a little bit more dovish. The other guy that Trump has is Keith Kellogg. Keith Kellogg is more hawkish, more anti-Russia, and Witkoff is more the nice guy. So it's sort of the good cop, bad cop negotiating style that Trump uses when he wants to send his attack dog after someone, the bad cop, that's Kellogg. But the good cop, the nice guy, is Witkoff. So Trump sent Witkoff to Moscow, and the initial spin from the administration was Putin then asked Witkoff, hey, can we have a summit? And this is a great face-saving way for Trump saying, see, I knew if we put pressure on the Russians, peace through strength, they would sit down at the negotiating table with me. See, it's working. They're scared of my proposed sanctions. Because you remember a few weeks ago, Trump had a deadline of today, August 7th, the war was supposed to end, or a ceasefire. And if Russia didn't agree to that, then on August 8th, there would be bone-crushing sanctions. At least that's the phrase Lindsey Graham used. And what are the bone-crushing sanctions? Well, there's not much more we can put on Russia. So it had to do with people that trade with Russia or countries that trade with Russia, specifically buy their energy products, gas and oil. Well, who are they? Well, they're China and India. So the idea was, at least with Lindsey Graham, is saying, hey, China and India, you better not trade with Russia. We're going to isolate Russia to put pressure on them. And if you continue to trade with Russia, we're going to put 500% tariffs on you, China and India. And Trump kind of went along with that for a bit to try to threaten Russia by threatening India and China. And it backfired. There were sanctions put on India, but Trump really kind of pushed out on those. If you look at them, oh, India has 50% sanctions, just on hardly anything, really. Because when you dig into it, I would support sanctions or tariffs on their IT industry. Well, no, that's exempt. So all the call centers, all the scams we get every day from India that text you, that's not going to be subject to a tariff. In fact, almost everything is excluded from a tariff except for their gem industry. I guess they have a big gem industry. So there are a few things that are going to be impacted by the tariff. But if you look beneath the headlines, like, oh, these huge tariffs on India, it's not that bad. And India, they've already replied, and they said, they're not going to do it for two reasons. Number one is just the principle. They are a sovereign country and they can trade with whoever they want. It's not for the United States to tell them who they can trade with, which is kind of reasonable. And then number two, India says, hey, we got to buy Russia energy. That fuels our economy. If we were to cut off Russia, that would mean less oil and gas. That would raise the prices. That would create economic hardship in India and actually the world. So if we did all this with Russia, you would see oil prices escalating. And then in the United States, we'd see higher prices at the pump, and there would be more inflation. It would be bad economically. So India said, no, we're not going to do this. So they already, it didn't work. We threatened them. India called Trump's bluff. And then China, they just laughed about it, and they said, no, we're not going to do it either. And what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about America? Put a huge tariff on us? Fine. You have outsourced all your processing of rare earth materials. Years ago, you did that. That's a very complicated process. That's something we can't bring back to the United States anytime soon. Takes a while. And we'll just cut that off. And we cut off these rare earth minerals. Well, guess what? You can't make missiles. You can't make modern weapons. Good luck with that, America. So it's an empty threat to China. We really can't do it. Plus, all the consumers goods we get from China, it'd be like Walmart would be empty of products. That would be a disaster for Trump. So China knows this. So they called the Trump's bluff too. So Trump's in a bad situation. He tried to follow the neocon example about we're going to put these sanctions on Russia based on threatening these other countries. It didn't work. And we don't really have any more weapons to give. We've gone through our inventory, and we've outsourced the production of a lot of these weapons, in many cases to China. We just don't have the inventory to give to Ukraine. So there's not much we as the United States can do unless we're going to send troops in, and there's no way that would fly politically. So Trump did all this bluffing, but he has nothing to back it up. Using Trump's terms, like he told Zelensky, Trump once told Zelensky, you don't have any cards. You're like at a poker table, but you don't have any good cards. Trump doesn't have any good cards when it comes to Russia now. So he kind of got himself trapped. So he needed a way out of this, and because he didn't want to hit all these sanctions on India and China. So he sent Witkoff to Russia to ask for a summit. Now, the United States is denying it. They said Putin asked for it, but that doesn't make sense. And it turns out, we were asking for a summit with Putin. And it's kind of interesting because Russia was told to keep silent about it. There's been a history in America where a lot of times we don't get the whole news. This is kind of an aside. We hear this propaganda from the government, and the media runs with it, and Russia doesn't say anything, so we get a false impression. And this has been going on for years. It started even in 1962 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. I wasn't even born then, but the idea was the Soviets, they put missiles in for no reason. They're just being belligerent, threatening the United States into Cuba. But JFK, he was tough. He stood strong against the Russians, threatening a blockade. And it made the Russians blink, and they cowered. Go America, hoo-yah! That type of thing. Right? Everyone was taught that. I was taught that in school all these years. I didn't know the rest of the story. There's a whole part of it I didn't know. It wasn't that Russia first put in the missiles. We put in missiles on Russia's border in Turkey first. And then Russia responded by putting missiles in Cuba. And Russia did get their missiles out of Cuba, but there was a secret agreement that we would agree to get our missiles out of Turkey and Italy, which we did. But that part was kept hidden so JFK could flex and act like he's real tough. So America always does this sort of bullshit. It's kind of silly, but it's for PR. But whatever. So they're having this summit. But the question is, what good is the summit going to do? Trump needs this because he wants to show. I'm not quite sure why Trump's doing this. There's a couple possibilities. One way, he wants to get something he could save face so he doesn't have to put on all these sanctions. He's looking for a way out. The other more cynical approach is he wants to get more involved with confrontation with Russia. And this is just to show like, hey, I tried, but the negotiation failed. Putin is just not willing to negotiate in good faith. But you can't say I didn't try and then try to escalate the conflict. I don't think that's the case. I do think Trump would rather have good relations with Russia. But again, he's got the neocon wing of his party like Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, and all those people that want to overthrow Russia. So there's a lot of conflict in the administration. Now, Putin, I don't think he sees anything's going to come of this because it's way too far apart what Ukraine wants and what Russia wants. But at the same time, it's also an optics thing. Putin wants to be seen around the world. Hey, I tried. I'm willing to meet. I'm willing to talk. And even people in Russia may want to see this. So I think that's the reason for it. And they will talk. But a couple of interesting things. Number one, Russia clarified the rumor that Zelensky was going to be part of these meetings. That's absolutely false. Putin will not meet with Zelensky. So that's not going to happen. So it's going to be between Trump and Russia and no Europeans, which is going to piss off the Europeans and the Ukrainians because they're going to say, hey, how can you negotiate a settlement? And we're not even part of this. Shouldn't we be at the table too? I mean, it's an our continent and it's Ukraine's war. This just shows how much Ukraine is, like our puppet. They're not really independent. But so that's going to create an issue too. And I think the Europeans are also worried that Trump has a reputation. He tends to agree with whoever he talks to last. So if he talks to Zelensky or Macron, he's like, or Starmer, he's like, oh yeah, Putin's really bad. You got me convinced. But then he talks to Putin and then he goes, well, wait a minute, you're pretty reasonable. I think it's these guys that are the issue. That's the reputation Trump has. So I think they're worried about him directly talking to Putin because Russia's position is, hey, we should be able to have good relations with you, United States, despite this war in Ukraine. This war in Ukraine is our business. It shouldn't be your business. Why can't we have good relations? Let's open up trade. Let's forget these sanctions. We're a nuclear power. Let's try to cool things off. And just like we don't get involved with your business when you get into all these wars, you shouldn't get involved with our war. That's their position. So we will see this as early as next week. There was an article here that was supposedly what Witkoff proposed. I don't know if this is legitimate. It's mainstream media, but mainstream media is full of shit. Ukraine and Russia will sign a ceasefire. Again, Russia's doesn't want a ceasefire until they achieve their objectives. They are winning the war, so they don't see any purpose of a ceasefire. Actual recognition of the Russian territorial gains by posting discussions on this issue for 49 or 99 years. Well, I guess this is a way like, we'll just push this out to the next generation. Whatever Russia you have now, you can keep, but we won't officially recognize it. We'll get back to the matter in 100 years when everyone is dead. I don't know about that. Lifting sanctions against Russia, return to importing Russia oil and gas, no guarantees of NATO's non-expansion, and no guarantees to suspend military support for Ukraine. There's no way that Russia's going to agree with this. There's nothing a benefit to Russia. I guess you could say the benefit is there's no more sanctions on Russia, but the Russian economy is doing just fine. They've become independent of the United States, and they're busy trading with much of the world like China and India. They really don't need the United States. I think they would like to trade with us, but they're doing fine without us. So that's not much of a carrot, really. And to have a ceasefire saying, we'll just, you keep what you have right now, and we'll push off the matter until 99 years in the future, let the next couple generations figure this out. Again, Russia wants to resolve it. They don't want a situation where there's a temporary peace and then we have a new president that's more of a neocon and they have another war on their hands. Meanwhile, Ukraine is rearmed and reorganized and they have to fight this war over again. Russia does not want that. They want to solve the matter once and for all. And so they want recognition of those four territories, Crimea and the Donbass. They want guarantees from Europe and Ukraine that Ukraine won't join NATO. They want guarantees, not just from the United States, but Europe, that we will not send any more weapons to Ukraine. These are the things they're going to demand. This proposal, there's no reason that Russia would want to take this because they'll say, well, it doesn't make any sense because it's just giving time for Ukraine, maybe not right away, but eventually they'll just be a new United States president and they'll be attacking and they'll be wanting the Donbass back as theirs, and we'll be doing this war over again. So I don't see much hope here. And that's just from Putin's point of view. When you talk about Zelensky and the Europeans like Macron and Starmer, they are no way going to agree to giving an inch of land to Russia. That's always been off the table. Zelensky says, I got to get back all of Donbass. I need the Crimea. We're not going to agree to anything unless we get it all back. And they've been pretty adamant about that. And Zelensky, if he should agree to anything else, there'd probably be a coup in Ukraine and more of the hardline nationalists would take over. So even Zelensky's kind of constrained. So what Trump should do is wash his hands of the matter. He should have done this long ago. Maybe he will use this as a possibility to say, hey, I tried. This was my last try. We're just going to get out of this. That would be the smart thing. But the problem is it could escalate. And that's, some people are saying this is just a way to, that Trump knows it's going to fail. He's having the meeting anyway, just to give an excuse to saying, see, Putin's not reasonable. Again, I don't agree with that. I don't think Trump operates that way, but that could be an issue. And again, the Europeans and Zelensky, they're going to be furious if Russia and America come up with a deal without their consultation. So I am not very optimistic about this process that's happening. What's interesting, though, if it does fail, what will be Trump's reaction? Will he try to escalate it like LBJ did in Vietnam? Or will he say, hey, we tried, I give it my best shot, I'm washing my hands of it? I hope that. We will have to see. The neocons will really be pushing him to escalate the conflict. So that's the major development that's happening. And it was a Putin and Trump summit. Zelensky will not be a part of it. That was a misunderstanding I think people had. All right, number two, and I think this is a good thing. Again, it kind of relates to India. I think Trump is finally understanding the anger a lot of the young people have about this H1B visa scam. And we do not need these H1B visa Indians. We have plenty of Americans that can't find jobs. The H1B visa program was supposed to be if we just can't find an American to do the job. But these bigger corporations have used, like IBM, HP, all of these, Microsoft, they've engaged in fraud and they haven't used it in this way. But it's not only bad that young people now can't get jobs. They go into STEM, they get good grades, and they can't get a job because it goes to India instead. But it's even worse because of the Indians come over here with a green card, they become permanent residents, they have this chain migration, and pretty soon your nice little town is looking like Calcutta. Nothing against Calcutta, but Calcutta needs to stay over there. It doesn't need to be where we are. And so what Trump is doing, he's making a change to the H1B program starting in September to force all renewals to do mandatory interviews. So this is going to slow the process of bringing in H1B visas. It's not perfect. I would rather have them just eliminate it totally, but this is a process to try to slow it down. I think Trump is starting to realize that he was kind of lied to by Elon Musk and Vivek about how wonderful H1B visas are. They're not. They need to go. Hopefully, Trump is finally trying to see that. So that's the number two news story, which is kind of a white pill. All right. The number three news story is about God's all-stars.
He will go.
And this is Netanyahu.
Immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas.
So what he's saying here is Israel plans to take over Gaza and put a puppet government in place. So these people, the Palestinians, there's no way Israel wants them to be part of Israel where they can vote, because Israel's an ethno-state. They just want it for Jews. And they want to get rid of, ideally, they want to get rid of all the Palestinians in Gaza. If it's either through shipping them off somewhere, that's fine with them, preferably Europe or the United States, or what they're doing now is just straight genocide, kill them all, but they would like that land. That's their goal. In the interim, what they plan to do is to take it over and not allow, is Orwellian language. They're liberating the Palestinians from having their own government instead to be ruled by Israel, even though they won't have a voice. So Israel's planning to take over Gaza, which we're in this Ukraine mess because, it's just so horrible that Russia tried to invade Ukraine, even though there's a long history there. Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union. It used to be part of Russia. You could go back through the history, but no matter, we have to do everything we can to stop Russia because they illegally invaded another country. Well, that's what Israel does, but we got so many cucks here, they're fine with that. So that is the number 3 story. Israel's definitely planning, you heard, to take over Gaza and to control it and install a puppet government that's favorable to Israel. The people won't have a say there. All right, let's see here. Here's the next thing. This is in Massachusetts. This is how crazy the Democrats are. And I guess they have a female governor. Geez, but let's just listen to this here.
The Massachusetts GOP is criticizing Governor Maura Healey over a new report that shows shifting shelter costs to the state's home-based program. The program provides rental assistance to migrant families. According to the...
By migrant, they mean illegals. So these are people that have broken into our country illegally.
Report, Massachusetts is on pace to spend $97 million on the home-based program in the current fiscal year. The state spent approximately $9.5 million on housing at-risk families. Massachusetts Republican Party Chair Amy Carnevale released a statement following the release of the report, saying in part, quote, "As much as Maura Healey would like the public to think that she's improving the system, the data tells a different story."
And more details about this, and let me just show you this here. I'll share the screen again. This is just how crazy it's become, and we need to end this immediately. In Massachusetts, if you break into this country illegally, you are given as a family $4,000 per month in EBT cash. So you get free welfare. And then in addition to that, you get $500 of free food a month. So these are people that broke into our country illegally. They're criminals. You get free health care and you get free cable TV. You get all these things if you're illegal. This is outrageous. I think the governor should be replaced, probably put into prison. This is treason, but this is what the Democrats are doing. And the Democrats are going to have a lot of problems if they try to stand by this sort of nonsense. So, yeah, that's the number 4 story. How about the governor of Massachusetts is spending up to over $30,000 to each illegal immigrant family. Just crazy. All right, the final story, and this has to do with illegal immigration too. And this is, I get mad about Trump on a lot of things, but this is a good thing he's doing. President Trump is ordering a new census that will not count illegal aliens. I can't believe we counted illegal aliens. The census is to determine how many congressmen or Congress people each state gets, right? Because we're set up that way. So if you're really populous like California, you get more representation than, say, like Wyoming. And they base it on the census. But it was also based on, I didn't know this, illegals. They shouldn't be based on that, but that's what it was. So Trump he's instructed the Department of the Commerce to immediately work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures. and getting rid of the people that should not be here. They should not be counted in the census. Obviously, the census should be based on citizens. We are the owners of this country, not people that are breaking the law that are here illegally. So Trump is going to implement this. This is long overdue, but it's good to see this is finally happening. So those were the top 5 stories of the day. I hope you enjoyed this, and I really do appreciate you guys watching. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and like to join the channel, grow the channel. I hope to get to 73,000 soon. I'm so close. Maybe we'll get there. So thanks a lot, guys, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.